Hello, all you beautiful minds and souls. Welcome to another Letter to Self. Some of you may have noticed that I didn't actually do a video last week because I live here in Springfield, Missouri, and this weekend was the time for me to go through and plan for my metaphysical fair. We run metaphysical fair, out here in Missouri, and this was our 25th one. And so if you didn't see me last week, that's what I was doing, was being in preparation for this weekend. On that line, according to this weekend, which was a beautiful weekend, it's always a weekend of connection and expansion and the opportunity to grow and to heal and to connect with other like-minded individuals, which is always a good reminder for me when I go to my fairs that it's important for us all to allow ourselves to be around those like-minded individual souls so that we can congregate and accept each other and love each other, appreciate and support each other, which is a big deal about what my metaphysical fair is all about. And going through the fair this weekend and this great awakening, I'm noticing there's a lot of growing pains, if you will, spiritual growing pains happening in the world today. Whether you're finding yourself overwhelmed, anxious, exhausted, aches and pains, maybe in the physical body, and even intuition striking you in different ways than it has before. I kind of want to talk about that today because I noticed that vibration to be a common theme throughout most individuals throughout the fair, whether that was people coming in from the community or vendors themselves. They're feeling this unease, if you will. And I like to call it spiritual growing pains because I believe that's exactly what's happening in our world today. Regardless of how it's coming in or what you're understanding or even misunderstanding, when it comes to the collective and the individual souls within that collective, we are really going through spiritual transitions, energetic transitions. And so you might find yourself all of those things that are mentioned, one or the other, a couple of them, and not quite know how to interpret them or how to receive them. And that's what I recognize more than anything throughout this weekend is there were a lot of people coming into the fair that were having specific issues and didn't quite know how to deal with them, which was brilliant because that's what my metaphysical fair is all about. We find that we do have a lot of individuals coming in need when they come into the fair, whether that's a healing, whether that's a reading, whether that's listening to a presentation on a subject that they want to be more aware of, whatever it might be. A lot of people come into our fair not only to enjoy themselves, but find some means of understanding themselves on deeper and deeper levels and healing through that process. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about growing pains, which we are all going through. They may manifest differently according to the individual, but we are all going through them whether we realize it or not. In fact, I'm even realizing that even with some of our vendors, they're going through these spiritual growing pains and almost feel like they're being pushed to expand with their business or go bigger or really allow themselves to go deeper with what it is that they share and teach or sell throughout the weekend. And I've noticed some of the vendors going through that as well, wanting to expand and almost being uncomfortable with it. Like there's something scratching at the back of their heads, if you will, or at their hearts, and wanting them to move bigger, to go bigger. When it comes to these spiritual growing pains, whether we understand them or we don't understand them, whether we're trying to work through them or completely dismiss them, I want everybody to know and to understand that what you're actually coming across, what you're actually dealing with, what's actually coming into your being is you, is yourself, is your higher self, is that spirit that's connected to your soul. It's the awareness that's been long forgotten, if you will, according to our minds. It's this sensation, it's this light, and maybe uncomfortable, but it's all you that's coming in. You are becoming aware of yourself. And with that, because we've been so propagandized in so many different ways to think so very little of ourselves, that to really think of ourselves as spiritually successful beings in whatever form, working with whatever medium, can be a little overwhelming to think of ourselves that way because, again, we've been programmed to believe very little of ourselves. And right now, the veil is lifting, if you will, when it comes to understanding ourselves as soul, as spirit, um, going into the ethers and understanding those types of energies, if you will, whether you call it God, universe, source, or even if you don't believe in any of that, but you feel this sensation of something new coming in. I want you to know that that new that's coming in is just you. It's just you awakening to your own guidance. It's you awakening to your own power. It's you awakening to your own soul and spirit, which can be a little discombobulating for the physical conscious mind, for the brain to actually absorb, because the soul works on a different level, if you will, than logic and reasoning. And so you might find your intuition is coming in stronger. It might be coming in with a stronger sensation. You might be noticing that you apparently feel more sensitive to other individuals, whether that's a positive vibration coming off an individual or a negative vibration coming off an individual. You might find yourself being more sensitive to those energies that are around you. In fact, I know me being an empath and having this 25th Metaphysical Fair in the midst of this great awakening, I was very sensitive to a lot of vibrations around me, both positive and negative. So you might be feeling that. You might be getting strange, I like to call them downloads. You might be getting strange thoughts or intuitive ways of thinking that are coming into you that you don't quite understand, that might make you a little bit nervous. In fact, they might come in and be a warning not to go here or not to go there, or so on and so forth when it comes to a warning about some negativity coming into your life. And or it might be something so overwhelmingly powerful that's positive that still catches you off guard. Again, recognize all that's happening right now is just you awakening to you and those greater gifts that you have with your senses, but above and beyond the five senses, the smelling, the tasting, the touching, all of that. In the physical, we have six senses: intuition, seventh, eighth, ninth senses that deal with higher dimensions. And we're beginning to come online with understandings of exactly what that means. But to the physical body, in this third dimensional reality right now, is a huge transitional period going on right now. And so the adjustment process, the spiritual growing pains, may take a little while for yourself to work through. If those of you that are watching aren't quite developed in understanding things like intuition or going into the woo with that kind of a conversation, you might get that gut feeling about things. You might find that that gut feeling is coming in stronger. It might be coming in more often. Allow yourself to pay attention to that, to recognize that, to breathe that into your being and follow with what you're being given, because not only are we coming to know ourselves on a deeper level, according to our higher selves, if you will, that can take a practice to allow yourself to adjust to integrate to. So the one thing we want to do, especially when it comes to things like intuition, is pay attention to it and allow yourself to begin to trust yourself, begin to trust your intuition, begin to know that you are a spirit, you are a soul. And if you are a soul here in 2026, you are here on a mission, whether you know it or not. You are here on a mission, you are here to add to the collective into this, to this great awakening. And we are all, again, experiencing that right now. And I wanted to take a few moments today and address that, because throughout the weekend, I noticed a lot of stress happening, a lot of anxiety happening, where it almost not need be if you can understand what's happening. So if you're feeling that intuition coming in full force, even if you aren't quite happy with what it's telling you to say or do, breathe it into your being. Allow it to be what it is, and allow yourself to know that in this great awakening, in this process of getting to know yourself, recognizing that that higher self is coming in through your crown and into your body with information that is there to serve you. Know that you are also guided and protected by your past loved ones, by those who are connected to your higher self, whether you call them spirits or angels or spirit guides, whatever it may be. Know that in alignment with your own individual alignment of getting to know yourself, you are guided, sealed, cared, and protected for by the greatest powers of the universe. Your past loved ones, your spirit guides, your angels, they're all here with us, willing and waiting to support us. Now, an important thing to remember on that fact is when it comes to your guides and your angels, it's important because there is such a thing as free will for you to not only acknowledge them, but ask for their help, ask for their guidance. And they're there, willing, waiting, and on standby. But it is important according for you, in accordance to free will, for you to allow that to happen by using this throat chakra and literally asking for their help and their guidance in whatever manner of help that you need to acquire. Know that they are there with you, that they love you, that I love you, that your soul, your higher self loves you, and know that we are going through one of the greatest transitions this planet has ever had to go through. And we're here intentionally, we're here on purpose, we're here with a mission. And even if you don't understand that or don't know your mission at this point, know that just in the fact that you exist, that you are here, you are adding to that vibration of the collective, to that wholeness, to that great awakening, to all that we are anticipating moving into. I think we have a beautiful, beautiful future ahead of us. And right now, we kind of have to shake off the fleas, if you will. We're going to have to shake off the dark side of it all. And that's another important thing to remember is in the process of beginning to awaken to yourself, the more that you awaken to yourself, the more that you're going to awaken to duality being what it is, the more you're going to be able to awaken to the darkness around you. And the transitions that are happening right now, while we are in the process of understanding that darkness so that we can move out of that darkness, whatever it might be, so that we can transition into the light. If there is an issue that an individual is having, whatever that issue might be, if we don't acknowledge that there is an issue in the first place, we will never overcome what it is that we need to overcome. We will never let go of what we need to let go of if we never admit it to ourselves. And in the process of this great awakening, it is very important to recognize the darkness that has been holding us under for thousands of years now, and to recognize it for what it is. You don't need to go down a rabbit hole on any given subject and allow yourself to go into depression. In fact, if you do that, pull yourself back out, go take a walk, get back into nature, do some meditation, whatever it might be to get yourself back to center. So it's important to recognize the darkness in the world, but it's also important not to overwhelm yourself, because that's how the darkness has worked for so long in this world, is it grabs your attention, it seeks your attention, and it wants you to stay in a lower vibration. So if you are doing your part and allowing yourself to know yourself, love yourself, and awaken to your higher self, and become to realize through that the darkness that you no longer want to participate in, consciously or unconsciously in this world, allow yourself to breathe through that and allow yourself to know that that is just simply part of the process. We live in this third dimension. We live in duality. We live in the light and the dark, and there's a beautiful balance to it all, if you will. But if you don't recognize the darkness in the first place, you have no ability to attain that balance through duality. You don't have the ability to have that structure that you need, that foundation that you need to move beyond this into that, regardless of what subject you may be talking about that you see as darkness. It's also important, and I've come to realize that when it comes to the dark energies in this world, in a very ironic sort of way, that darkness is here to guide us and direct us and to push us back into the light. This weekend, I came a vibration across the vibration of an individual that really threw me off, that really put me into this negative spin because of a very negative message they had on their shirt, and it was just in your face. And me, because I receive everybody that comes into the fair, and they were one of the individuals that come into the fair, and that shirt and its energy and its vibration and message really grabbed a hold of me in a really negative way. So after like an hour or so after I had let that person in and gone along with the fair, my anxiety was just way up here, and I just had to breathe. In fact, what I did is I went and got one of my shungite necklaces and put it around my neck with the intention of ridding any kind of negativity around me, which was magic because it worked very, very well. I thought that was very exciting. But anyways, I saw this individual after I had calmed myself down and come back to my center. I saw this individual later at the fair, and after I allowed myself to deal with those negative energies, recognize what they were, protect myself from those energies. The individual that I came across with later in the fair looked completely different to me. She looked, she looked very sad. She looked very stricken of energy. She looked very weak and she looked very discombobulated. Where originally, when I originally came across her and the energies that she brought in with her, all I felt was the energies of those hanging energies that she brought in with her, and interpreted that as her. When I saw her later in the fair, I recognized her, and her soul was going through something in the midst of all this darkness. So I say all this to let you know that when we are recognizing this darkness in the world, it's important to pray for those individuals that are caught up in it, to share your light with those individuals that are caught up in it, to give some compassion to those individuals that are caught up in it. And if you don't have that means within yourself in that moment to find that compassion or what have you, breathe that into your heart. Breathe that into your heart, because your heart has an ability to understand and comprehend things on a much deeper level of connection than the mind does. And sometimes in the midst of it all, like me, when I received her into the fair, it caught me off guard. It took me into a tailspin. But once I adjusted myself back to my center, I realized that the one thing, which was cool, it was a cool experience for me. The one thing this individual needed was my love, was my compassion, was to say a prayer for her and know that what she's going through, from my perspective, I needed to sprinkle some compassion on that. And so once I centered myself, that's what I did. So again, it's important to remember that when you do come across those things that you have maybe not been aware of and become aware of, to integrate it in such a way that you're allowing yourself to have love and compassion for what we're all going through, because we're all going through energy shifts on different levels all over the planet right now. And so it's important to recognize that own light and love that you carry in the midst of this great awakening. So once again, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being here on A Letter to Self. And if you like what you're hearing, please like, share, and subscribe. Love you all. Bless you all. Thanks for listening.